Thank you so much for joining us today. Today's session is focused on an organizational success real world agent case studies. And we have some really interesting content lined up for you. Before we jump into the content that you came here for, I just want to cover a few housekeeping items and share some Microsoft program updates. So we'll go to the next slide. So this session will be recorded, and both the recording and the slides will be available afterwards through our Microsoft CAD AI Webinars Hub. We'll share that link shortly. This is an external session, so please be mindful not to share anything sensitive about yourself or your company. And we ask that you do not add the note-taking agents to the chat. Questions are welcome throughout, and we'll address them at the end. We do have a Q&A panel that will be set up. And so we can go ahead and capture those sessions or those questions through the chat, or you can raise your hand at the end, and during the Q&A session, we'll definitely capture the questions there. And finally, have a great time, be respectful, and enjoy the session. All right, next slide. So now I'd like to do a quick plug-in on some of our future Microsoft programs that you might find valuable. Our CAT AI webinars continue to have some great sessions for the upcoming activity in April. So be sure to check them out here. You can also click the links to be able to register. So it is jam-packed, and we'd like to go ahead and just share that promo for you so that you can get registered for the AI webinars. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So I'd like to do a formal introduction of myself. So my name is Guadalupe Camacho, but you can just call me Lupe. I am part of the engineering organization, contributing to our community building and storytelling initiatives. So while collaborating closely, we work with our Fast Track team and our CAT teams across the board. So I'm glad to have everyone here. And thank you so much for joining today. And also, we have Samir on the line with us. He may have some trouble with his camera, but I'll let Samir do a quick introduction of himself before we get started.
Yeah, thanks, Lupe. Hello, everyone. Really excited about this session. Huge thanks to the Zones team for being here. Apologies that my camera is not working on my laptop today, but I've been sharing stories around Power Platform and then Copilot Studio and the wider, overall ecosystem now since, 2019. And I have to say, these, having our customers, partners come and just share their story in their words live with you folks, some of my favorite meetings of the month. So thank you again, everyone, for joining in. Please do drop your questions, comments, questions. We love getting both. So if there are things that you like, things you'd wish you'd seen, questions that you have for our speakers, we do have enough time today on today's session. So we'll have a couple of us monitoring that in the back end. I'll be back as well to kind of moderate the Q&A portion later on. And again, yes, huge thank you for being here. Thanks to our Zones team. We do put all these recordings of these sessions back on YouTube and back as part of the AI webinar series, so you can share them back with your colleagues and others in your organization. Back to you, Lupe.
Great, thank you. Okay, so next slide. Okay, so then we can go ahead and begin. So we're here to welcome you to the special session, as mentioned. So we're highlighting the real-world customer success stories. Zones is a US-based global solutions provider. They're going to present how they effectively implemented an AI strategy to achieve tangible outcomes. So in this session, we're going to begin with Vikas Sagdevas providing a high-level overview of Zones AI strategy and journey. Next, we're going to have Dallas Burnsworth to discuss the rollout of the Microsoft 365 Copilot initiatives across zones. And then also following that, we have Prasad Main. He will present the supplier community agent, including several use case examples. To conclude the session, we're going to have Daniel Lehman demonstrate the credit worthiness agent that he developed using Copilot Studio. So each segment will offer practical, actionable insights for immediate application. So we'll hear from each of our speakers, and then we will have a panel discussion set up to discuss a live Q&A session right before we close out. So be sure to submit your questions in the audience chat section as mentioned. So it's going to be a great opportunity for you to definitely address by the panelists. And during the live Q&A session, we will select the questions for this platform. And with that, we're going to go ahead and start the session with Vikas. Go ahead. Over to you.
Hi, good morning. Good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're joining from. I'm Vikas Sesteva, and I'm in Houston, so it's bright and sunny outside, unlike Seattle where it's cloudy. So a little bit about me. I'm the Vice President of Enterprise Applications with Zones Digital. I've been here for about 6 years. My seventh year right now. 25 years of experience in digital transformation across small and large enterprises, high growth ventures. I've worked in multiple domains over the years: financial services, healthcare, digital economy, private equity, and then now zones and business services. I'm passionate about modern technology, building scalable, high-performing teams, and then solving complex business problems through practical solutions and innovation. So today, I'm going to talk about our platform journey and AI journey. But before I do that, a little bit about Zones as a company. If you haven't heard of us before, we are a large global solutions provider in IT infrastructure solutions and services. We've been around for about 35 plus years. We have comprehensive technology solutions in digital workplace, cloud and data center, networking, security, and managed and professional services. We serve our customers in 150 plus countries across the globe, supporting 20 plus currencies, 12 plus languages, and we ship millions of devices and support millions of users across some of these large customers that we work with. Some of our big customers include likes of Costco and Starbucks and Valvoline and Exelon of the world. So we are mid-size, I would say. Our annual revenue is in the range of about $2.5 billion. So before I jump into the AI journey for Zones, I want to take a few minutes and go back in time and talk about our platform and cloud transformation journey, because this is the foundation on which we have been building our AI strategy and journey. So in the last almost 4 years, we started this platform and cloud transformation journey way back in June 2021. And which is when we decided to upgrade our Microsoft platform and move from our on-premise data center to the cloud. This took us a long time, but this was really, really important to get right. So we now, as we speak, we have our global platform rolled out across our locations in our EMEA business, for our US, for India and Canada. And then in the process, we also took the opportunity to modernize our infrastructure and the application. So I think this is important that you need to have your solid platform before you can think about leveraging AI. So just keep this in background while I talk about the AI journey in the next slide. So this is how we started thinking about AI. So in the previous slide, I talked about how we kicked off our platform modernization journey in 2021. So right around the time when we realized that we'll be going live with a global platform for a larger business, we started thinking about what should be our story next. And in 2024 is when we went live with our global platform in EMEA and in the US area. And in 2023, we started thinking about first learning about what's happening in the AI ecosystem, started deepening our partnerships with Microsoft, started going to the partner briefings and attending a bunch of conferences, that we could go to. And in parallel, so this was our investment in terms of understanding what this ecosystem is about. Then in parallel, we started engaging with strategic partners to do value stream mapping workshops to identify So, okay, now we understand what the technology can do. Let's think about our customer journey, our business process flows end to end, do value stream mapping, and see where can we get the best bang for buck if we were to leverage AI. Where could we start these experiments? Where could we do the pilots, etc. And then we started, on this foundation, then we started thinking about what do we want to do next. So I think 2023 was more about learning about what we can do, what's the art of the possible. And as we rolled out our platform in 2024, then we started experimenting with Microsoft M365 Copilot and Copilot for sales. And we started doing POCs and closed pilots for our sales organization. By virtue of having large customers, we are a very sales-heavy organization with very high-touch seller engagement, especially for our mid-market and enterprise customers. So we thought that the biggest value that we can get is to make our sales team more productive and increase the selling time they get with the customers, instead of spending time in updating data in our CRM system. So that we thought that that's where we'll get the most amount of value. So we engaged with Microsoft, and then we did POC and we did a closed pilot, focus on productivity, seller adoption, and trust. After a successful pilot, and as we started to roll out a global platform for our other locations in Canada and India, we started expanding our M365 Copilot rollout to more users outside the pilot group. So we started I think we started with about 60 users, then we expanded to about 150, then we went to 250, and then eventually, as the platform rolled out, we gave M365 Copilot and Copilot for sales for everyone across the organization. And when Dallas talks about M365 Copilot, he will go into more details on what that journey looked like. So in parallel to experimenting with Copilot, since we were live on the Microsoft Dynamics global platform, we started looking at the first-party agents that Microsoft has been building in all the domains. So this is where we shortlisted a few agents which were relevant for us, and then we started by evaluating Supplier Communication Agent in detail. And when Prasad comes in later, then he will talk about how do we went from evaluation to now live on that agent. And another thing that we started doing was to think about what kind of agents can we build using Copilot Studio and Copilot Studio, which are essentially third-party agents, the agents that we are building for ourselves. So this is where we built an agent called Creditworthiness Agent, which is something Daniel from my team will showcase in the subsequent slides. So for year of 2025 was scaling our M365 Copilot rollout, experimenting with first-party and third-party agents. And now in 2026, we are thinking about scaling even further, taking some of our first-party agents live. Then we are working on a very large initiative wherein we are now not just looking at first-party or small agents for productivity improvement, but for business business process automation with multiple agents. So that's where our 2026 journey would be to focus on building that order automation agent so that we can have touchless orders for our customers across the globe. We are well underway, deep partnership with Microsoft, and we plan to go live in July. So our strategy has been to move from assistive AI to agentic for productivity improvements, and then have full-fledged business process automation. So as I said in previous slides, these are the three strategic principles that we kept in mind, that we think that AI is a disruptive technology, but I think all technologies are means to an end. So start with value, start with problem as to what you're trying to solve for, which is where we invested in looking at the AI use cases and did not jump into it right away. The second thing which is important is think platform first. What are you going to build your AI strategy and journey on? So make sure that you have solid foundation. So we ensured that we had a very solid global platform rolled out in all our geos, so that we have rich data, standard processes, and then we could start leveraging AI agents to scale from there on. And then progression. I think you have to be started by discovery, did pilots, understood how agents work, and then we have started scaling. So I think take the time, pace yourself, and move from start by personal productivity use cases to more process level agents, and then move to more larger scale business process automation. So this is what our journey has been so far. With that, I will pass it on to my team to now show you real demos. We are not just doing talking, we are showing exactly what we have, what we are using right now in production. So I'll pass it on to my team, starting with Dallas.
Yeah, thanks, Vikas. I'm Dallas Burnworth, the manager of digital adoption for Zones. And in my role, what I'm really concerned about is enabling all of the Zones end users to be able to do their best work in all of our systems of record. And when it comes to sales, if it isn't in D365, it doesn't exist. So when people have issues with that, it's just my job to enable them and point and laugh when they get it wrong. But in all seriousness, global business is really complicated, and our sellers have to do a lot of operational activity and to take credit for all their sales work in the system. And so what happens is they're skipping, swivel chairing between different systems, and we wanted a way to make things a lot easier for them to keep them in the system and also to maximize sales time. And so if you can imagine having to do a lot of operational work, not being able to have an assistant to do things for you, what Copilot has become for our sellers is a digital assistant to help them sell. And so it's all about speed. It's all about maximizing sales time, face time in front of customers. And so what we've been able to achieve, we have 243 sellers who are using Copilot right now. I hope to expand that. And to give you an idea of what actually happens is we've got about 21,000 actions taken in Copilot for a total of 2,087 Copilot assisted hours. And that means the amount of time it would have taken the end user to do the thing without Copilot. So you could look at it as time saved or time gained as a function of using Copilot, but we're giving sellers back about 9 hours a month. We have some departments that are using it, like our own IT department, where users are getting up to 25 hours a month. But we have a 96% adoption rate and a 78% satisfaction rating based upon the thumbs up or thumbs down after prompts are made. So the tool allows you to give the feedback, the thumbs up or thumbs down, tell Microsoft what you thought about the result. So I think we're sitting pretty good. All right, so we want to take you through some examples of practical ways where sellers are using the tool in their day of the life, right? We have people going from email, we have people going from Teams, we have people going from web portals, we have people going from the CRM system. And so we're going to show you some workflows where we've simplified that so that we can have sellers do a lot of things in one single place. And the first video is going to be where we have sellers using the tool in Outlook. So go ahead and play.
In this video, we'll do 3 actions in Outlook that sellers do every day. First, open the email thread and select Summarize. Copilot generates a summary with the key points, decisions, and next steps, so it's not necessary to read the entire chain. Next, I'm selecting Reply so I can respond right away. Now I'm clicking Copilot inside the reply. Next, I'm clicking Draft with Copilot. And now we will paste a prompt to make the response professional, concise, and action-oriented. Draft a professional and concise reply that acknowledges the guidance shared, summarizes the agreed direction, and confirms next steps. Copilot is using the thread context to generate a ready-to-send response. Now for the third action. Saving to Dynamics 365, logging the activity to CRM without leaving Outlook. We will open the Dynamics 365 pane. Next, we will select Save Activity. Now I'm selecting the related account and the related contact, and I'm clicking Save. So, in one flow, we summarized the thread, drafted the reply, and saved it to Dynamics 365, all from Outlook. That means less switching between tools and more time focused on selling.
Very good. Play the next video, please. For recorded Teams content, this is huge.
In this video, we'll show how to use Copilot directly in Microsoft Teams. We'll start by preparing for a meeting, then review the AI-generated meeting recap, use Summary to support follow-up, all from within Teams. First, we'll open a scheduled meeting from the Teams calendar. Now we're selecting Prepare with Copilot to get context before the meeting. Copilot surfaces relevant context so you can walk into the meeting prepared, without searching across emails or notes. After the meeting, we need to open the recap. Here we can see the AI-generated meeting summary. Copilot highlights the key discussion points and action items, so it's not necessary to rewatch the meeting or take manual notes. Now we can reuse this summary to support thorough follow-up. This makes it easy to turn meetings into clear next steps.
In this video, we're showcasing Sales Agent, also called Sales Chat, the Copilot experience built for sellers. This is where Copilot becomes most impactful for sales, because it's connected with up to 10 core CRM entity records, so answers come from real sales data, not generic results. I'm going to demonstrate 3 real seller workflows. 1. Finding the largest opportunities by margin for a seller. 2. Rolling up pipeline by account. And 3. Generating a cleanup list for missing key fields, all in seconds. Now, let's test a real-life seller workflow. Our first prompt will be about the quickly seeing where the biggest revenue sites are and prioritizing focus without digging through multiple views, as this is one of the key focus areas for sellers and leadership. As you can see on the screen, the prompt we entered for Sales Agent returns a prioritized view of the biggest opportunities tied to the seller, so sales can immediately focus attention where it matters most. Next, instead of looking at individual deals one by one, we zoom out the seller's account portfolio and summarize estimated revenue across open opportunities at the account level. This makes prioritization faster, and sellers can instantly see which accounts carry the most open pipeline value, without building reports or exporting data, saving time that can be used back in getting new logos. Finally, pipeline quality matters. If required fields like close date and probability are missing, forecasting becomes unreliable and deals slip. So now we use Sales Agent for data hygiene to produce an immediate cleanup list. This turns cleanup into an actionable list, so sellers know exactly what to fix, and leaders get cleaner pipeline data for forecasting. And that was the Copilot Sales Chat Agent review. Thank you for watching.
So one thing I would leave you all with after these demos is that I would bet donuts that none of you can tell me what the ROI is for Microsoft Office is for your business. However, when you use the Copilot, M365 Copilot license, you get the Viva insights that tell you what the ROI is for the tool. And that is a function of time. And that's how you prove using math that it's worth what you pay. And that's why I'm trying to push for everyone to have this at Zones, not just sales, not just Zones Digital, but everybody who uses Microsoft Office needs Copilot. And with that, I'll turn it over to Prasad.
And one thing I just wanted to mention is that, I forgot to mention in the journey slide is that after we have done successful rollout of M365 Copilot to our sales organization, we are looking to expand it to other functions within the organization, our CSM organization, our HR organization, our finance organization. So that's, again, something that we want to do in 2026 is to give Copilot to everyone across the organization.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Dallas. Thank you, guys. Right. So this is Prasad Mani. I'm associated with Zones for the last 3 years. I'm working as a director of global application support. And I'm going to talk about Supplier Communication Agent. The Supplier Communication Agent is a first-party agent developed by Microsoft. It leverages GenAI technology to understand the natural language by the vendors who are communicating with Zone's business team, and then make some changes into our system. Right. So we'll look at those in a minute with all the 3 demos of 3 different use cases that we're going to talk about. Okay. We actually moved to this agent to the production very recently. And let's talk about the business value it is bringing to our business. So Zones operates globally in multiple geographical regions, and our supply chain team actually sends close to 13,000 emails asking for information based on the missing data in our transactions, or asking for tracking information, tracking URLs, and all that kinds of stuff. So we spend a lot of time in communicating with the vendors through email channel, especially. So this agent is going to bring significant value, and it's not trying to reduce the email count, but it's actually reducing the time we spent on gathering the data, compose those emails, send those emails, and then read those emails, parse that data, and then make that system record updates in our system. So it's trying to compress our time to act and react on the communication. So that's the significant business value. It is going to provide close to 25% of time improvement to our supply chain team. Okay. So that's where, like right now, what we rolled out to production is like out of the box first party agent. But the next future potential for this agent, we are trying to make some changes so that this agent can be extended to make it work with Zone's business model. We're making some extensible features so that it fits more into our Zone's business model. So we're working on a roadmap with Microsoft in close conjunction to make those changes, which will further improve our operational efficiency. So I have demos coming up in next 3 videos, each one of them. But I'll talk about the first business problem, and we'll play the first video. So the first business problem, what our supply chain team faces is we're expecting certain orders to be delivered or certain items to be delivered at warehouses, but somehow those are missed. That means that those are not delivered, and we don't know how many of them are supposed to come on that particular day has not been delivered. And our supply chain team needs to scan our old transaction records and then keep sending all those emails. So this agent will do that scanning automatically and keep sending that emails at one go and expect a response. Can you go to the next slide and play that video, please? We're going to play the video for the first use case.
Hello, team. This is a walkthrough of the Supplier Communications Agent based on the relevant business scenarios. The scenario we will review is when the ETS has passed or expired. In this scenario, the agent is configured to filter purchase orders where the ETS date has already expired or passed. Let's review the configuration. The email draft will include key fields such as vendor reference ETS, date item number quantity external reference. The selection criteria are defined as follows. The ETS date range is set from today going back 100 days, so that all purchase order lines with expired or past ETS values are selected. Additionally, the delivery reminder must not be equal to 0. The line status must be open order. Once these configurations are completed, the agent is activated. After activation, we can view the results in the Activity or Preview section of Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations, where the identified purchase orders are displayed based on the configured criteria. The draft email is then reviewed by the business user. Once the user is satisfied with the content, the email can be sent to the suppliers. Thank you.
And now let's talk about the second use case, right? So the first use case, we just talked about the ETS, which is already passed, but we have not received our items in our warehouses. And the second use case, right, is pretty much similar. We're going to draft the emails to all the vendors where we place the orders, but we have not got any communication or any information when those orders are expected into our warehouses. So it's pretty much similar communication where it keeps on composing all those emails and keeps sending to all our vendors, asking, hey, I placed you on an order. Can you tell me when you're going to ship it out to us?
Hello, team. The next business scenario we would like to review is when the ETS value is blank. In this scenario, the agent is configured to filter all purchase orders where the ETS has not been provided. The agent drafts an email to follow up on delayed purchase orders using a formal and non-urgent tone. The email content includes the following fields: ET external reference item number quantity. Once the required fields are defined, the selection criteria are configured. The criteria for this scenario include: the delivery reminder must not be equal to 0. The ETS value must be blank. An advanced query is used to identify purchase order lines where the ETS field is empty. Additionally, the line status is set to open order. Once these configurations are completed, the agent is activated. As in the previous scenario, the results are available in the Activity or Preview section, where we can view the list of purchase orders identified by the configuration, along with the corresponding draft emails. These purchase orders have missing ETS values and require follow-up with the vendor. The business user reviews the draft email and sends it accordingly. Thank you.
So that's the video. If you saw that video, right, I'll just place the screen here. Right, it just composed all that emails, and then all that the supply chain team needs to do is just click on the send button at the bottom, so that it simplifies all their workflow without them looking at all the purchase orders in our system, scan, compose, and all that stuff. Okay, so yeah, I think I can play the third video as well. And that video is about like now we have seen two use cases where it is sending the outbound emails. And now let's assume that vendor has responded with certain ETS information, right? In the natural language, they can provide a date or say that first week of April or last week of April or mid of May. So it generally understands all that natural language and come up with a date format and then suggest the supply chain team, hey, this is the communication that we got from the vendor. You can just go and make the change. So let me just play that video as well. Give me a second.
Hello, team. This walkthrough covers the supplier communications agent for the inbound scenario. In this scenario, the agent is configured to review emails received from vendors and display a summarized view of the changes mentioned in those emails. The agent can be configured to monitor emails from a specific vendor or from any vendor. Any email sent to the configured shared mailbox is analyzed by the agent, and a summary of the proposed changes is generated. Once the agent is activated, a list of results is displayed. These results include system-generated suggestions based on the email analysis. For example, if the email indicates a purchase order cancellation, the agent suggests canceling the purchase order. If the email contains an ETS update, the agent suggests updating the ETS accordingly. The final decision rests with the business user. The user can review the suggestions and decide whether to apply the changes or not. Thank you.
So in this use case, right, we are not just allowing the agent to make the changes automatically. We have a human in the loop who can just look at the suggestions that we got as a response from the vendor and then apply those suggestions in the system. All right, so that covers all my use cases. All right, yeah. And now I'll pass it on to Daniel for his word. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I will try to be quick as I'm the last one in the gate. So essentially, our credit team is tasked with determining if a customer is worth extending credit or if we want to do business with them. This was an activity that our team was using both a service that was provided by a credit rating agency as well as a bunch of different research that they would do. They would Google things and look at things and try to determine kind of what market segment they were in and things like that. We saw that as an opportunity. Most of our customers are we're a business to business organization. We sell to a lot of like Fortune 500 companies and things like that. So there's typically data available from them. And since a lot of them are larger business to business transactions, there's a little bit less risk. So we said, let's see if we could maybe reduce our subscription to our credit rating agency and build something that does some of this research for ourselves. So essentially, I guess I may show you live. What this agent does is you provide a company name, It double checks to see how common or nondescript that name is. It queries you and says, I found like 4 companies with that name. Which one do you want? And then once you confirm the one that it wants, it'll go through and actually gather this data. It applies a custom scoring model that I used prompt coach and researcher or analyst to try to develop it. I went back and forth. I did use Copilot Studio for this to try to put a different model behind it, and then so I could publish it to Teams and to Copilot, M365 Copilot, and then obviously it cites its sources. So let me try to bring up an existing chat that I have real quick and share my screen. Now I'll give you a demo. I'll say report on Delta. Now what it's done is it's asked me which Delta am I talking about? And I'll say for this purposes, Delta Airlines. So this does take a minute to run, but once it does, it gives us all the information about the company, how long it's been around, if it's publicly traded, tells us a little bit about what industry it's in, a little bit of information on the leadership structure, how many employees they have, their financial health, if they publicly file their financials with the SEC. Tells us a little bit about its stability, if there's been any risks in the news coverage lately, if they've been doing layoffs, anything like that. And then it provides us a score. This one happens to be 9.5 out of 10. And so this is likely a company that we would consider extending credit to. Now I'll try a different company, Anytime Fitness. It's going to clarify if we want the franchise or the parent company. We're going to say parent company. And after a moment, the results are finished and formatted. Tells us this has been around for 24 years, tells us a little bit about the business profile, leadership, employees, financial strength, things like that, some of their funding rounds they've done over the last periods. And then it ultimately gives us another score, 7.8. And for us, that's a medium risk level. Tells us what the green flags and yellow flags are. So that's my demo. What we're going to release, and I think I might need a minute just to make sure, just to double check it, but I'll release a little bit a document that has the design of that in it. Some of the things that I was able to do is like really get specific in the scoring. I used what's called a JSON format, which is kind of like a coded output of I want everything to look exactly the same every time I run this. And then I gave it some more instructions on what I think are reputable or reliable sources to look for each of these sections worth of data. And that is the creditworthiness tool that we use here at Zones.
Appreciate so much for Zones giving us a very thorough demonstration. Quickly, I would love to just do a quick recap. So again, Zones, they were able to establish a clear AI strategy and vision, and they were able to translate it to organizational-wide adoption with Microsoft 365 Copilot. And then they also showed us the agentic solutions they have, such as the Supplier Communications Agent, which is now used to drive operational value, from empowering the supplier collaboration to supporting financial decision making through intelligent agents built with Copilot Studio. And thank you again for demonstrating such great value with the use of AI, which isn't just experimental, it's just showing that you have intentional design, strong governance, and practical use cases. Again, thank you so much for joining us for the webinar, everybody else. We'll go ahead and conclude this webinar. Thank you.